So today we're going to go drive a little bit. We're going to try the steering. We're going to make a couple U-turns, and then we're going to just see if a 26 really feels that much different. Hi, it's Josh, and today I'm at Mossy INEOS Grenadier in San Diego, and they graciously loaned me a 2026 Black Edition to do a little drive-in. And the first thing that we're going to talk about are a couple of the new features. Basically, there's a lot, and I've already done videos on the 2026s, but some of the questions as we drill down get to be, you know, what changed with the air conditioning? Is the steering really feel different? So I'm going to finally drive and see what I think, you know, coming out of my 24, getting into 26, if it's really that big of a difference or not that big of a difference. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the new rear view camera. And that is because the new 2026 has a rear view camera that's got a day-night function that will dim the mirror when headlights are shining on it from behind at night, but it also has a camera in it. And I'm going to point my little camera at the mirror because these cameras are really good at picking up those cameras. You see those little dots, those little colored kind of fuchsia dots? That's the camera looking at me to make sure that I'm looking ahead. And if I cover it up, it's actually going to report a warning that I need to pay attention, and it's going to show a little telltale error icon, and it's also going to show on the instrument cluster where we currently have the service overdue warning. So it's going to be relatively annoying if you cover it up. Well, that only becomes a problem with people that want to put a wolf box rear view camera mirror in their INEOS Grenadier. And so if that's something that's very important to you, you might want to be looking at the 2025 models, because A, you're going to get a better deal on one because there's still some to be had, but also B, you can't really remove this mirror without messing up the ADAS system. And at the moment, the dealer hasn't suggested that there's any way around it. And the concern is that you can't really take that out because it's now integrated into the system. Now, on the menus for the ADAS, you can actually turn it off. We go into ADAS system. The driver monitoring system is something that you can turn off, but if you turn it off, and I say yes, you get a warning in the telltale that will always be there. Now, you can turn off the feature driver monitoring system every time you get in the Grenadier, but when you turn the key off and you leave the car and you come back, it's going to reactivate. It's kind of like the original overspeed warning that we couldn't turn off, and we always had to turn it off every time. Well, that's no longer an issue, but this is a requirement, and I don't know if it's a requirement in the United States, but they left it in as if it were a requirement, because in the UK or the EU, it's a requirement. And so you can deactivate it, but it doesn't really change much. It just means the camera's not going to be annoying you. However, if you're wearing polarized sunglasses, I'm going to read what the owner's manual says about this feature, and it will probably give us some hints. But let me turn it back on because we're going to see what it's like when we're driving. Driver monitoring system, DMS, monitors driver with an internal camera. If the driver is not looking through the predefined areas, the center of the steering wheel and above, it sends an audio signal and a visual signal to the center display and touchscreen to remind that the driver take action. DMS does not operate at very low or extremely high speeds, only between about 12 miles per hour and 100 miles per hour, or 20 kilometers per hour and 160. DMS's ability to interpret driver behavior may be reduced or defeated if the driver wears polarized sunglasses or the driver's face is obscured. So that's all that the 2026 manual says about this feature. And so you can turn it off, you see a warning, you can't remove the mirror, it will deactivate and cause problems with the ADAS system. You can get a wolf box and cover the mirror, but you'll get the warning because it will have blocked the camera, which means you'd want to probably turn it off. So some people are concerned about that, and we haven't heard of a good workaround solution yet as to how that could be changed. So the next one that we're going to look at is the emergency lane keeping system. And that's, they call it ELK. And I'll read to you what it says. Emergency lane keeping uses the front camera to detect and recognize lane markings. It sends audio and visual signals when it recognizes that the driver has allowed the outer edge of a tire to get within a few inches of a solid line marking without signaling a lane change. It may then also apply torque to attempt to move the vehicle away from the marking. Torque being a little braking. When ELK is turned on, the boundary arrows will appear in gray. Now I'm going to show you right here where you see to the left and the right of the 35 mile an hour speed. There's these little indentation marks. That is the ELK showing that it's active. When ELK detects a lane marking, that boundary turns green. So it's not going to be active unless you see those little markers being green, because currently they're gray. When the driver allows the vehicle to come close to a recognized lane marking, the lane display turns from dashed to solid, and then the approach marking boundary turns red. So that arrow will actually turn red. ELK is automatically activated each time your Grenadier ignition is turned on. ELK does not signal when a turn signal is on, when the hazard lights are on, at speeds lower than about 40 miles an hour, at extremely high speeds. ELK does not recognize or react when your Grenadier is being driven through sharp curves, during hard acceleration, full or about 70% throttle, during hard braking, including active AEB intervention, which is automatic emergency braking, during hard steering, during ESC operation, when the driver is actively steering towards the lane boundary or in very narrow lanes. And it says, note, ELK takes about 2.5 seconds to reset after an intervention, during which it will not recognize or react. So that's the electronic lane keeping or emergency lane keeping. And from what I've seen in other test drives, it's really kind of hard to trigger. So we'll see if we actually get anything on the instrument panel. But I just wanted to show you that you'll see on the 26 that there are these little arrows to the sides of the lane keep assist dotted lines. So let's see. So today we're going to go drive a little bit. We're going to try the steering. We're going to make a couple U-turns, and then we're going to just see if a 26 really feels that much different. Now I'm noticing, so I'm sitting in the black edition and I see everything's black. The windshield, the sun flaps are black, which I didn't even realize. And obviously all the interior stuff is black. It's kind of nice. This car didn't have side steppers, and I needed a catapult to get in it. I can't tell you how good of a feature those side steppers are for people my height. I'm kind of scanning around and looking to see what's black versus what's a different color in the Grenadier. It's just subtle. It's nice, but it's subtle. And it's very similar though. If the black is right for you, it's nice. So, okay, before we go drive, we're going to talk about one more thing. The air conditioning. The 2026 is supposed to have better air conditioning, somehow revised. Now, we don't know if it's software or if it's hardware, but I'm actually, so far in this car, it's behaving very nicely. And when I set it to something, it's sort of responding. Now you can see it just kind of went full blast because I turned the heat up and I turned it into the heat zone, and it's on auto. I feel like it's not quite as noisy at the high speed as the 24 that I have. So it might be a nice little difference. It's a nice to have. It's not a mandatory. And of course, that's, this is one of the things about the Grenadier you get to weigh. Get a 25 that I can get a Wolf box in, get a 26. It's got a little more compliant HVAC. The decision is yours. So let's go drive. And I'm gonna see. So this is a 2026. It doesn't have a Fox stabilizer on it. The steering feels a little sturdier. It doesn't feel like swimming, that it's swimming around. Let's turn. Okay. We're going to go up and make this U-turn. That's our first test. This is a U-turn that I used to do in my Grenadier when I leave the dealer, and it's one that I can barely. I just get to the outside of the line, and then I hope to clear the curb on the other side, and we're going to see if we do any better in this Grenadier. Okay, and we're off. And we're no different. This is no different. This is no different. That is, if you're thinking that a 26 is going to get you a tighter turning radius, don't bank on it. I feel like that's every bit the same of what I already experienced in my Grenadier. And yes, the 2024s and 25s, they can adjust the steering stops so that it can have a little tighter of a turning radius, allegedly to match what this Grenadier will do. And I would say that'd be good enough. So you can take that out of your column of reasons to get a 2026, my opinion. Now, when it comes to steering at traffic freeway speeds, we're about to get on the freeway and we're going to find that out, because there is another change in the steering box that's supposed to be more compliant at slow speeds like parking lot and at freeway speeds as far as returning to center. So that might put it back in the column for a 26. But we have to get over 40 miles an hour for some of the lane keep assist and the emergency lane keeping to activate. Be sure to leave questions in the comment section if you're curious about a 25 or a 26, and let us know what's helping you make the decision between one or the other. And you won't be surprised to find that that's something that other people are looking for as well, trying to decide which they should get. Okay, so I got green lights. I'm going to take my camera down. I got green lines for the lane keep assist, but I don't have the emergency lane keeping activated. It's on, but it's not spotting these lines in the road and interpreting them as something to keep me in. So I'll show you a little bit of the road here. Okay, now we got one. Let's see if I wander a little bit. Oh yeah, okay, we got one. So that was interesting. It feels like it didn't feel like somebody was jerking the steering wheel, but it felt like something kind of stepped on the brakes just a little bit. So that's basically, you want to look for these little greater than, less than arrows at the sides, and when one turns green, then you know that the system is active, and if you wander to that side towards the line, it's gonna correct you. Now that's a solid line because I'm at the edge lane of the freeway, and it doesn't seem to do it when it's got these broken lines that we have. And I have to keep my eye on the freeway or I'm going to end up in Mexico, and I don't want that. Okay. So you see, I'm going to wander a little close to the edge here. Got my hand on the wheel. Oh, see, ooh. Oh boy. It's an acquired taste. Let me just tell you, I'm not sure how much I like that. Let me put my camera back up here so that I can maneuver. I'm going to turn around and get back the other direction. Okay, so now I know how this works and that it does work and that it will get involved. The question becomes under what conditions it triggers. But it's not it's not subtle. When it decides that it's going to intervene, it intervenes, and you just feel like somebody's tugging at your shirt or something, trying to correct your course. It's very brief, and I think you would get used to it, and it would definitely, it might startle some people. But then again, if you're wandering off the lane, you probably need to be snapped out of it. So, very interesting feature. Is it something that we just desperately needed? I don't know. Can't answer that. But that's kind of wild. But we know it works, and you can turn it off. But again, you have to turn it off every time you turn the Grenadier back on. It will turn back on. And so that's a little bit of a pain. Okay, I want to get back to the freeway. Okay. Oh no, another U-turn. And a train. Go for it. And no, we're not going to make that U-turn. Ugh. So you just have to be quick with your turning, because I don't like making 3-point turns for a U-turn in an intersection. Let's see what kind of train we got here. Hopefully it's just a trolley. Okay, so we've tried the electronic lane keeping, or electronic emergency, not sure, I guess it's more emergency. Lane keeping, and the camera. So let's block the camera. Okay. Yes. Now I don't know if I can do this and at the same time show you what the camera shows. Let me get to the freeway. All right. Get at freeway speeds. Take my little camera down, hold it here. Now if I put my hand over the camera, there you go. That's what you get. And this is the thing, that even if you see a little telltale, it's going to give you something down below that's going to annoy you if you cover up this mirror with a wolf box. So I just took my hand away, it's cleared. And again, I'll do it again and you can see what the telltale does. It shows a little exclamation point. So you get both of those warnings on the when the mirror is obstructed, and it does it relatively quickly. But I've heard that if you have a hat with a brim, sometimes if it can't see your eyes, that will cause the error. So, you know, you want to be aware of those kinds of things, because it's a bit of a nanny feature. And of course, you know how we feel about nanny features. So I don't know, these are the things in the 26, and I wanted to experience them knowing what I've just come out of the 24. And the wolf box is a big deal to me. It's, you know, some people aren't bothered at all by the, you know, just using the rear view mirror. However, all I see in the back, I haven't even adjusted it since I got in the car. I see the tire, I see the, you know, the between the two doors that you don't see out of. I forget that that's what you see out of the back of the Grenadier. It's not much. You can look, and there's good visibility because the seats are folded down in this one, which is a little bit of a cheat, actually. I mean, they're down because somebody was probably demonstrating the space. But I found that when I look back, there's headrests in the back seat that are very tall, and then you're seeing that, then you're seeing the tire, and it's a lot to look at. So I got a wolf box almost instantly when I got my Grenadier, and I still think it's something for you to consider. I'll leave a link to that video so that, you know, people that are new to the Grenadier exploration can see a little bit about it and understand it. Other than that, I mean, it just feels like I'm in my Grenadier. It's very similar. The buttons and knobs are all the same. I would give probably a couple points to the AC system for being better, because it's just not bothering. It's not telling me anything is wrong. It's not bothering me. It's not annoying me. It's just doing its thing, which is kind of what an air conditioning system should do. You want heat, please, and it gives it to you. So here, we'll dial it up one more time. It's going to turn the fan up. But it seems to respond a little bit better than the previous models. But again, in the previous models, it does work. It's just, I found myself adding a little heat, stepping it up, adding a little cool, stepping it down. And sometimes when I get in the car, it would kind of deliver not the right thing for the moment. And so you had to kind of coax it a little bit with the, you know, whether you wanted heat or cool. And so hopefully they've kind of taken care of that all the way, because so far, I like this in the 26. But the rest of it, don't need it. Not sure if I want it. And so for you, if you're considering a 25 or a 26 or even a 24, just know that you can, you know, make your little columns of what you want, what you like. And here, we're going to park real quick. But okay, that was interesting. I'm really glad I did that, and I'm hopefully didn't make this video too disjointed for you to follow along. But I hope that sort of gave you more of some clues to follow in your figuring out which Grenadier you want. I think that if I were looking at a 25 or a 26, I'd still seriously look at a 25 if I could find one with the options that I wanted, because there are deals to be had on them, and you can put a wolf box in it. And I think that's probably the big deal for me personally. But time heals all wounds, and they will probably figure something out for the Grenadier 26 and a rear view camera mirror. I just don't know exactly what that will be and who will engineer that solution, because you know, the Grenadier had nothing when it first came out, and now you see all these aftermarket solutions that are great, that, you know, creative people have come up with. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if you had to get a 26. You know, it's not, there's no shame in it. So anyway, I think that's it for today from Mossy INEOS Grenadier in San Diego. Thanks again for lending me your car. And, you know, they're the people to call if you're interested. They'll put one on a truck and send it to you. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.